Hello and welcome to the Gator Football Podcast. This is week 3, and I'm going to talk about the UF Tennessee game that was on Saturday. And there's not really that. This is not really that long a podcast actually, because most of my breakdowns, I guess, on this are pretty straightforward. I guess first I want to talk about so there's something that people do on the official sports fan forum or whatever, Gator Country, where they talk about people who go manning at Tennessee, which means they go through they've now gone through all their years at playing football at Tennessee, never having won against Florida, and with Tennessee with Peyton Manning now playing in the NFL this year again, he's back. A lot of people have questions about him. It's something we get to look at all the time. Us Gator fans get to always look to that Peyton Manning just a constant source of futility with Florida. So I think the first thing I want to say is, before we get to the breakdowns, is about penalties. We did have some more penalties this time than we did last week, but apparently all we need is the other team to just get as many or more penalties. That's nice. Yeah. All the same, we're actually still looking okay with regards to pre-snap penalties, which are my biggest concerns, because that's just about discipline. And we had 2 penalties there, so I'm not too upset about that. So penalties, yeah, they happened. I know a lot of people said there were a lot of missed penalties with holding, and Trey Burton probably should have been caught foul for taunting, which probably could have reversed that touchdown. All the same, I don't want to talk about the refs too much, but yeah, some of those late hits were pretty clearly late hits. So hopefully that gets fixed. It's that fine line between aggressive and not. So and just dumb. So I'll say, all right. So first I'll go with the defense, and I should say that first of all, I think there were some close misses in this game that could have that even though Florida came from behind the second half, this game could have been a serious slaughter by Florida. I think there was one missed opportunity by Tennessee to pick off Driscoll, but there were 4. I repeat, 4 potential interceptions and 2 potential fumbles that we didn't get. So that's 6 potential turnovers. If we had gotten half of those, this game probably would have just been a blowout. So I think when some people talk about, well, we came from behind, yeah, we did, but this game could have been like the Texas A&M game. If we had really kind of done the right thing in a couple places, could have been a completely different kind of game. So first, starting with the defense, really, I think we have to talk about Tyler Bray and Justin Hunter. And when Tyler Bray is good, when he's on, and when Justin Hunter is on as well, there isn't a lot that you can do. Like, I think Roberson was in a good position for a lot of that, but I mean, we just don't grow kind of Joe Hayden on trees. Like, we just don't have an NFL defensive secondary right now, which we did, with 2008. We had basically a NFL secondary, and when you have that, yeah, guys like Justin Hunter will get completely locked down. Do we have like a Patrick Peterson or that kind of corner just waiting around? No. So, occasionally Justin Hunter did in fact make a great play, and it's hard to blame our secondary for that. It's just going to happen. So there's some that I don't really want to talk about. The linebacker play I do want to say is that Bostic and McCray, McCray with the interception as well, did really good coverage over that short middle kind of center area, because if we had given that up to Tyler Bray, he could have probably really hurt us. And I think Tennessee had some bad play calling because they were going deep, I think, a little too much, where Bray's good, Hunter's good, but that's still a low percentage play probably most of the time. So Bostic and McCray did a great job of basically making sure that center was locked down pretty well. They did have a couple missed tackles, but all in all, not bad. I think the D-line, I do want to say a lot of good things about D-line. Namely, Sherry Floyd blew up plays again and again. He led the charge. The D line was pretty good at slowing guys down at or beyond the line of scrimmage, um, and that caused a lot of good yard stops, basically gains of 0 or less. Um, I mean, every once in a while Tennessee would actually get a good run, but it was usually only as a result of very good blocking. But even with that good blocking, we still pretty much held their running almost entirely in check. So that bodes well. Now on the secondary. The secondary is probably you know, the secondary is the most important part of the defense when we're talking about playing Tyler Bray and this Tennessee offense. And I think yeah, we didn't get a lot of those interceptions, and that's a shame. But that they did it as well as you can expect them to do. They weren't on the same page though. The corners weren't on the same page with the safeties on some of those mid-range passes, so they need to kind of get together because they need to get on the same page. I think, and I think if they do, I think we can make up for the lack of not having the 2008 talent with having a better team, kind of just working together better as a team. Realistically, though, we have to remember that the 2008 secondary probably worked together as a team probably better than any secondary I've seen for a long time, and that was possibly talent, but it was also probably because there was great coaching. But I think we can still make some effort there and get better at that. And will it need to happen? Will we face an offense, throwing offense as good as Tyler Bray? Probably not, but in general, if we play pretty much anyone, if we can shut down the pass, I mean, that's obviously going to be better than anything. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Hunter got some long completions, and the second receiver for Tennessee, I think it's like Patterson or something like that. He outmuscled whoever we put on him pretty much on those short slant routes where you can't let the guy get inside you, and he basically got inside. But beyond that, not bad. I mean, Roberson did have was largely outmatched, but he was in one-on-one a lot of the time, to his credit, and it really could have been way worse, and it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I think he did. I think he held his own as well as he could have, especially considering all the times he was in one-on-one. Purifoy has to, I don't know if he needs to get stronger or what, but yeah, he was getting beat inside, and something needs to happen for that. Maybe just a coaching thing, maybe not, who knows. Offense. Yeah, that's all my defensive notes, because the defense basically clamped down like crazy in the second half, and and even in the first half, the big plays were just great talent. Yeah, so what you gonna do? There's not much you can say. There's not much to really improve on there if you don't have that crazy talent that can match up against someone like Justin Hunter. All right, so the offense. I liked that we saw a called run with Driscoll, and I think we've been saving that possibly for this game. But giving him that called run, I think makes him just more comfortable with the idea of running, potentially. I don't know. Maybe it is, but every time I saw him run this game, he looked way more comfortable. The third down conversion problems I can talk about, but frankly, I don't. It's just representative of other offensive problems we have. So I don't really know the point of talking about third down conversions when they're all endemic to something else, like the O-line. Halapio and Xavier Nixon have been so just difficult to predict at times. Halapio will whiff on a block. He whiffed on another on that short yardage run, and then he all of a sudden sealed the side for the Trey Burton's on the touchdown run. Same thing with Xavier Nixon, who buried dudes, and then all of a sudden would just give a guy. The Tennessee has a big defensive line. They were effective against Gillislee early on, and that part of that was with blocks, and we were even doing it when we were pulling guards, which I talked about before, how we're more effective when we're pulling guards and pulling tackles and setting the fullback in to help block as well. When we've been doing that late in the first two games, we were actually getting really pretty decent yardage, usually 4 yards at least. But on this one time, we saw Tennessee basically just go by the blockers, and the blockers just didn't get on their man well enough. And so to some degree, that's a credit to Tennessee. They had that nose guard who was just huge, and he tired out near the end of the game, so we were able to get around him. But in general, our runs to the outside were in general way more effective than running up the gut. But I mean, if Muschamp wants to get better at that, that's something he's going to have to improve. The offensive line is going to have to get better at those kind of at creating those blocks. So we'll see. I mean, there was some short yardage misses again, and some degree, once again, it was on the O line. The sacks, obviously a huge difference. Pass protection was way better, but to some degree, that was more Driscoll being better as well. They basically decided not to go with the Texas A&M game plan for how to get to Driscoll, which I thought was just bewildering. But we'll get to that with quarterback coverage. Regarding wide receivers, I think Dunbar kind of and DeBose have had some weird moments, I guess. DeBose needs to be utilized more, I think, and I've heard people say that they're lost on DeBose. Just they don't really. But I mean, I don't think he's been given an opportunity yet to kind of prove that. He every time I've seen him play last year, he usually had pretty decent hands, and he has great speed. And I'm kind of curious as to what we're waiting for with that. Maybe we'll see him against Kentucky, but I think he does need. I do want to see some plays go to him. I really want to see us utilize wide receivers more. Tight ends have been doing great, so the wide receivers need to step up. So quarterback stuff. Driscoll played great. He stepped up in the pocket, which I talked about last week, how he was kind of bouncing outside and on the slow stuff. But it was weird because Tennessee, instead of taking Texas A&M, who had the guy kind of waiting for Driscoll to bounce outside the pocket and then just push him along to the side, they just kind of kept sending guys up the center. So basically Driscoll was right out and there was nobody there. And I wonder why they did that, because Driscoll, every time he gets flushed, seems to go up and around. So Tennessee basically must have seen that in the A&M game and said, I don't think we should do that. I think we should just keep going to the center. And basically we kind of did to Tennessee what A&M did to us in the first half last week. And, whoops. That's kind of a crappy job by the Vols, I suppose. I don't know whose fault that is by the Vols, but I guess the defense coordinator. Maybe. I don't know. So even though Driscoll has high velocity on his passes, he did miss on the long ball, so he probably needs better touch. He also needs to be, he has more confidence in his running, but I think he probably still do a bit better. Namely, I think, I don't know why we aren't going with Driscoll on called runs with short yardage. Dude's big. Why don't we just have him plow forward? Just, I understand it's not going to be Tim Tebow, but I mean, Ryan Mallett did the same thing, and Ryan Mallett wasn't Tim Tebow either. Ryan Mallett was just a big guy. So I'm kind of curious as to why that's not happening. To some degree, that's also on the O-line for not creating holes. But still, I think Driscoll, if we wanted to, we could probably run him on these 1 yard, 2 yard situations, or at least send him on, some kind of read option or something. I mean, if what we're doing right now isn't working and the O-line's not getting better after 2 weeks now of games, I think we probably need to start looking at some alternatives on those third and shorts, second and shorts, whatnot. Okay, Trey Burton. Let's get the running backs. Trey Burton. Wow. I'll say this. So I said he dances around too much when he gets the ball. He did not dance around except for one time when he got the ball. He basically took the ball and ran with authority, and that was really nice to see. I mean, on that run, I still don't know how Trey Burton was not caught by a safety. So to some degree, I think Tennessee just, once again, this was a defensive failure by Tennessee. I don't know what they were doing, but I don't know how a safety misses an angle on Trey Burton. Like, that's insane to me. All the running backs showed decent field vision when they were bouncing outside. Tennessee wasn't giving much of the center, so outside was pretty open though. We started getting a ton of runs. Shout out to Mike Gillisley for getting another 100-yard game. I mean, that guy just seems leading the SEC, and I don't know if he is after this last week, but he was coming into the game. And I think, if he keeps getting these 100-yard games, I think the NFL is definitely a place for him in the future. We'll see how he does against probably a better defense than Tennessee, but all the same, pretty good. I liked seeing what Joyer did. Another thing, the fullback Joyer is coming along. He actually showed a pretty decent hands on a catch. His blocks are usually pretty spot on. He's usually not the reason the plays get blown up in the backfield. He's usually pretty much spot on about making this blocking. On the big runs, he's usually involved. He's usually involved doing the stuff, and it's nice to see. Special teams. So yeah, Christie, great job. He's doing a great job. Really like him. I think that fake punt. I did like the call. It was unlucky that one guy read it, but man, that could have been a big gain. That could have been a 20-30 yard gain because they had set the whole blocking scheme. It was ready to go. So it's unfortunate, but what you gonna do? Sturgis, once again, Caleb Sturgis. Not much to say. He's probably gonna win the award this year, the whatever the kicking award. I think it's Lou Garza. It might be for the punter. I'm not sure, but whatever the kicker one is, he'll probably be in the running for it because he's got a cannon of a leg, and I hope he plays in the NFL because that's pretty nice. I like when you do the fakes, I think the fakes work because we have a good punter and field goal kicker. And to some degree, I'm kind of curious why Urban Meyer didn't do more of them, because if you respect the field goal kicker and you respect the punter, people are gonna have a hard time, going for thinking you're gonna do the fake. So I like Muschamp doing that. It didn't work, but it was a good risk. I think I'm glad he did that risk. So, like I said, not much else to say this game. There was some like I said, there are some close misses. This could have been even worse for Tennessee. And honestly, I hope Derek Dooley stays around another year. Not just because I hope we beat him again, but I think he does have the team moving in the right direction. But unfortunately for him, even if he does stay around another year, I think it'll be worse next year without Tyler Bray, Justin Hunter. It's just going to be bad for them. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But, I mean, I'd rather have a guy who's a decent recruiter like Derek Dooley there, kind of try and reinforce you have decent job security at Tennessee even if you don't immediately win. I mean, Tennessee doesn't probably need our kind of advice, but that's what I think about it. And I hope, I don't feel Derek Dooley is that bad of a guy. He did make a pretty incredible catch on the sideline. So, yeah, so this is a pretty short podcast this time. Next time I'll see you guys about Kentucky, who, they're supposed to be SEC. Later.